Hello everyone, welcome back to another little Transformers haul vid. Not a not too bad a haul. It's only been one weekend since my last video, so I found a few bits. Unusually, just Transformers, so it does make a pleasant change in that way. Now bits first. What shall I show? I'll show you a couple of small bits what I picked up first. Now this is something I've already got, so again, as I said in the last video, if anyone needs these figures, drop me a line, PM me, and I'll put them by and we'll do a trade or something at some point. Now I've got a little Cyberverse size Optimus Prime. It's the sort of grey, red and blue one, I suppose you describe it as. One of the later ones, what came out of the Cyberverse line. So that one's up for trade. I also found, which I believe I need, another Robot Heroes, but this one's sort of it's not Transmetal one, but the Cheetah from Beast Wars. So quite pleased to get that figure, one I've been after for a while. And I also managed to find a base which I think goes underneath the titanium figures. I think they're supposed to sit on that, but again quite nice little logo anyway to hang on to. Another figure, actually, what will be up for trade. It's missing some little lights off the top, but there is a Cyberverse version of Prowl, and other than the red light being missing off the top, is all complete and all in good nick. So again, that's something, if anybody needs Prowl, drop me a line. As a weird coincidence, I also found a few box shots, one of which is Prowl. That's one I need, so I'll be hanging on to that. Well, actually, I think all three of them I need. I picked up another one which is a blue tank former, which could be Straxus or a different version of Megatron, something like that, or a different version of Brawl. That little blue tank mode, so quite nice. And another little version of Bumblebee, which I don't think I've got Bumblebee, so again that's quite nice. So I managed to pick those up. They were, I can't even remember the prices of them now, they were like next to nothing. I think I got a few bits all in together, so I can't quite remember the prices, it's gone out of my head. I did manage to pick up a Junker, but it's one I'm hoping to complete, which is an early Beast Wars Megatron, where he was a crocodile. He's got one of his little crocodile legs, but not the foot on the end of that leg, and none of the other arms or legs, so I'll have to pick those up. But he does crucially have his tail, which doubles up as his weapon. It flips round. I'll quickly do it. Flips round, but you can detach the tail and that and add it to his arm. But since he hasn't got the arm to actually fit it onto, wasn't a lot of point sort of taking that off at the moment. But I will try and complete him. It's quite a nice little Beast Wars figure. I also, let's see, size wise, I'll go with the next ones. I managed to pick these up actually off the internet. Quite a good little deal. It was including postage. Managed to pick them up for £7, but I got the entire set of the Cyberverse Abominus Combiner, so it's like Blot. Got the Cutthroat one, which I've repainted a few times, but quite a nice little figure. Cinetwin, not really showing these off properly, I'll do a review or something at some point on them. Hungar, I think that's how you pronounce it. And just trying to think of the last one's name. Now, this one is one I always tend to forget. No, it's gone out of my mind. Can't remember, but it's the blue and white one, you know. Anyway, but quite good little Cyberverse figures in their own right, and they did come with a collection of weapons, which I just pegged all together, just to keep them together. But yeah, quite like that. Quite good little robot modes as well individually, but I didn't think that was too bad, including postage. So quite happy to pick that up. I do remember when they was in the shops and I weren't going to pay, I think that was something ridiculous, like 20–30 quid or something like that when they first came out, so I weren't going to pay that. Now another bit of a sort of larger figure. You could say a much bigger figure. Again, I got off the internet, and again for a reasonable price. Missing some accessory bits, but I think, although I can't find them, and I've already tried looking, I think I got his missile somewhere, but I'm not sure whether I got a mini-con for him or not. Again, I don't think so. But I did manage to pick up the main figure complete and undamaged, which is the main thing, and that is, I believe, Armada Jetfire. Now, is in really nice condition, got a little panel that's often missing there, and his gun, which is the middle sort of rocket booster. So quite pleased to finally get hold of him, so I get that into shot better. Really nice sort of figure, really good alt mode as well, so really pleased to pick him up. And just to go and show you what sort of like it's like, although I'm not sort of upset about it, but I also found at the boot fair the other version of him. So I've got both versions, so I can do a combined version. Not quite sure. When I've looked these up, they both kind of come up as Armada, so whether they change the colour scheme on in Armada, it's not really a line I'm as familiar of. I don't know, but it's strange that there's two colour versions of the same mould for the same line, because I did think, oh, perhaps one's Cybertron, one's Armada, or one's Energon, or vice versa, but they both seem to come up listed as Armada, so I have to do a bit more research on that. Only downside of this guy, I had to put him back together. He was in about 4 or 5 bits, so I was searching for a box, picking the bits up, and the only bit I've missed or wasn't there is the little bit what's should be in that bit, a little bit hinged panel. Doesn't really detract from much from the figure anyway, so I'm not overly worried about that. I mean, if anyone's got an odd little bit like that knocking about, let me know. But again, no accessories, no mini-con, so I will have to pick those up at some point. But again, really nice figure. I believe it's the case that they're often you sort of find damaged on the wings, so it's quite nice to actually find one, even though I had to put it back together. I was there a little while putting bits back together, and I think the guy was a bit curious, what the hell were you doing down by my stall for so long? There were a couple of other figures, nothing majorly great, but I did manage to find another one again, which I had to reassemble and find his weapon, and he's only missing one little tiny panel on his leg, but I did manage to pick up, and I know I've got the Optimus, which is sort of part and parcel of this sort of set, but I managed to find the little animated Megatron. Now I managed to track down his weapon in another box, which a guy had, but it's just one of the back panels on the leg, on his left leg, which I'm sure of. But I'm trying to think now, his arms were still attached, but his legs were missing through other boxes as well, so I had to really put him back together. But quite a nice little figure, quite good. Doesn't have the speech sort of thing of the more leader class version of him, but yeah, I really like that. And it's the sort of one, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but it's got the sort of, you can see it more there on his shoulder and chest, almost like sort of like a tattoo-y sort of effect on parts of his body here and there. I'm sure I've got the little prime what goes with this guy, so quite good. They'll be alright to display next to each other. And good light piping as well on that figure. Now the last thing I picked up was actually the first thing I found at the boot fairs. I've given him a G2 Prime weapon just because it sort of matches, and it gives me actually somewhere for a figure to actually hold it in the meantime, so I can get some fists from my G2 Prime. But I managed to find a KO, and it's not a KO I'm at all familiar with. Whether anybody else is, don't even know how recently it was manufactured, because as typically with KOs, there's not a single maker's mark I can find on it. So it's a bit weird, but as a KO it's not bad. And it is actually a KO of Optimus Prime, and not a small KO either really. It's, if I try it against, let's see, say like a bot shot, so you can get size comparison. It's quite a big figure, it's not a little one. Quite a good transformation for a KO as well. I mean, you've got actually sliding fists, a bit like the G1 styles with a little tab. Elbow articulation, arm articulation. The head doesn't move, but it does look pretty good. It would almost make a good sort of Nemesis Prime, but for the fact he's actually red. But it's red and black, which is an unusual mix for a Prime. But it's even got foot articulation as well. It's actually toe movement separate from the main part of the foot, so you can actually put him in some quite good poses. Extending legs as well, which lock out. Even due to, not gone off, but even due to the transformation, there's even a waist swivel as well. So not bad, not bad for a KO. And quality's, yeah, the plastic's not brilliant, but it's sort of there. But the G2 sort of weapons sort of work with him, although his arms aren't up to actually holding the weight. But yeah, I thought it's worth it. Cost me 50p, and to be honest, it's 50p well spent, because where am I going to find another KO of him like that? I've never actually seen this KO before as well, so certainly a bit of an oddball item to find. But that was the last thing I found. I picked up a couple of odd little spare parts and odds and ends over the internet. I did actually, one thing I will show you, I have managed, stickers have turned up and I have actually restored well. I did think about doing a sort of re-stickering sort of video to show me putting it on, but I thought that'd be quite boring. Watching me fiddle with fingers and thumbs trying to put all these little fiddly stickers on probably wouldn't be that entertaining for anybody, but I thought I'd just give you a quick glimpse of him actually all put back as he should be. Really like that, really good figure. Yeah, definitely one I recommend getting. Once I've got all of his accessory parts, I'll do a review on him, but he's, yeah, something special. But other than sort of like I say, I picked up a couple of other little accessories. I've actually sort of put them away to keep them safe. Not for figures I've currently got, but when I saw the accessories I thought, I know what they belong to, and snapped them up. I think it was actually from the same seller who did the not Predacons, the a bonus combiner. I'll get there in a minute, I'm getting old. But yeah, so I've managed to pick up a couple of interesting little bits. Now, one thing I actually did see from another car boot hunter, Gary Chum. Now he puts up videos as well, what he picks up, and on the YouTube community page of bits other Transformers he's picked up and stuff like that from the boot fairs. Now, I did see on his recent video, I will try and contact him another way if he doesn't see this, but I did pick up in amongst the parts lot the shield plate for Ultra Magnus. Now, if that's something he needs, because I know he got the main trailer part for Ultra Magnus, and he did say he had a cab. So if he does need the shield part, again, drop me a line. I don't know if I've got any other spares parts for a Magnus, but I know that came because that was recent. So drop me a line if you need that, and I'll get that to you so you can help complete your Ultra Magnus. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little look at what I've managed to pick up this week. But it's getting near the end of boot fair season, so I don't know how well I'm going to fare for getting bits in the future, but on the plus side, that might actually mean I can get round to actually doing some reviews. Now, I have also got some stickers for another figure which I've recently completed, which I'm going to try and put his stickers on, and then I'll be able to finally do a proper review of the guy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again. Please feel free to comment and subscribe, and like I say, hope to see you again. Thanks for watching.